Have you ever been to a religious ceremony and thought, wait, this doesn't quite look like what I learned in class? Maybe it was a kanduri, a tahlilan, or a traditional ritual that somehow blended prayers with local custom. And maybe you wondered, is this still religion? Or is this culture? Or is it both? That question is actually at the heart of what we are going to talk about today. We are exploring the relationship between religion and culture, two forces that shape the way entire communities think, live, and find meaning. This discussion is based on an academic article titled Religion and Culture, the Common Thread That Unites National Identity, which look at how these two forces interact, sometimes harmoniously and sometimes with real tension, especially in a country as diverse as Indonesia. So, let's start from the beginning. What exactly are religion and culture? The word culture comes from a Sanskrit word, budaya, which refers to everything connected to the human mind and morality. In everyday terms, culture is the way a group of people live. It includes their tradition, their art, their language, their architecture, their clothing. Basically everything that makes a community recognizable and unique. And it gets passed down from generation to generation. Religion, on the other hand, is a system of belief about God or a higher power. It provides people with guidance, moral values, a sense of right and wrong, and a deeper meaning for why we are here. Now, a scholar named Endang Saifuddin Ansari argued that religion and culture are fundamentally separate. Neither one contains the other. It stands independently. But here where it gets interesting. In real life, they are constantly pushing and pulling at each other. Religion often draws deeply from culture to spread its teaching, and culture in turn is shaped and sometimes transformed by religious values. Think about how many traditions we practice today that started as either purely religious or purely cultural and over time became a rich mix of both. The article also brings up the perspective of Abdurrahman Wahid or Gusdur, who described culture as the result of thought, attitude, and consciousness of a society that is always evolving. He believed that religion should not impose rigid constraints on culture. Instead, religion should serve as a guide to universal values, supporting creativity, openness, and respect for human dignity. One concrete example of this is how the tragedy of Sayyidina Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad, who was killed in Karbala on the Lot of Muharram, is commemorated in very different ways across cultures. In West Sumatra, the Minangkabau community holds the Hoyak Tabuik procession, where two large replicas of the mythical Buraq, symbolic bear through the street before being set and adrift at sea. The meaning is Islamic, but the expression is entirely local. So right from the start, we can see that the relationship between religion and culture is not black and white. It's layered, dynamic, and deeply human.
Alright, so we know that religion and culture are connected, but how exactly do they interact? To understand this, the article used two important academic frameworks. The first comes from Émile Durkheim, a French sociologist. Durkheim believed that religion plays a very practical role in society. It strengthens social solidarity, creates bonds between people, maintains cohesion, and builds a shared identity. In short, religion is one of the main reasons communities hold together. But Durkheim also pointed out that religion plays two somewhat conflicting roles. On one hand, it serves as a social bond, connecting people from different ethnic, linguistic, and economic backgrounds under a shared faith. On the other hand, religion can also become a source of conflict when different groups interpret their beliefs indifferently. When different groups interpret their beliefs differently, this tension has existed ever since religious teachings first emerged. The second framework comes from Clifford Geertz, one of the most influential anthropologists of the 20th century. In his book, Religion as a Cultural System, Geertz defines religion as a symbolic system, something that shapes how people feel, think, and understand the world. Geertz makes a really important distinction between two types of symbols. The first is model of, a symbol that reflects existing reality. The second is a model for, a symbol that actively guides and shapes behavior. So when a community performs a ritual together, it's not just expressing existing beliefs, it's also reinforcing and shaping how people will think and act going forward. Geertz also introduced the concepts of ethos and worldview. Ethos refers to a community's way of life, their moral values, their daily habits. Worldview is how they understand reality and their place in the cosmos. Rituals, according to Geertz, are the place where these two meet and reinforce each other. Together, Durkheim tells us why religion matters for a society's survival. Geertz tells us how religion creates meaning through symbols and shared experience. Now, beyond solidarity and symbols, religion also functions as a form of social control, and the article goes into this in a real depth. Religion doesn't just tell people what to believe, it shapes how they behave individually and as a group. It establishes commandments and prohibitions. It gives people moral frameworks for making decisions, and it creates a sense of accountability not just to other people, but to something greater. The article describes several key functions. First, the educational function. Religion teaches followers the difference between right and wrong, guiding them toward attitudes consistent with shared values. Then, there's the creative function. Religion encourages people to contribute and innovate, not just for themselves, but for the well-being of the wider community. And that's the solidarity function. Religion creates emotional connection among followers, fostering brotherhood and mutual care. The writer Hamka described religion beautifully using the analogy of a rein. Like the reins of a horse, religion restrains destructive impulses, controls anger, and limits harmful speech and actions. It guides people to stay on a path that is both morally sound and socially beneficial. So religion is not just a private spiritual matter. It has very real, very visible effects on how communities organize themselves and how individuals relate to one another every single day.
Now, let's zoom in on one of the most fascinating phenomena in the article. This syncretism is what happens when two or more cultural systems blend together to create something new, something that still carries traces of its origins, but has evolved into its own unique form. When Islam entered the Indonesian archipelago, it didn't arrive through force. It came through rote marriage and culture dakwah, a gradual, peaceful process. Because of this, Islam value were able to slowly integrate with local tradition that had been rooted from centuries. The result, tradition like Selamatan, Nyadran, Tahlilan, and the art from Jenengan from Cilacap, a version of Islam party with Japanese musical patterns. Take Nyadran as a concrete example. It's a tradition in Mojodadi village where the community gathers to clean ancestral graves and pray together. On the surface, it looks like a local custom, but it's actually carrying Islamic value, gratitude, remembered, and community bond. Japanese costumes are rooted in the tradition. They reinterpret to align with Islam teaching. The article also mentioned Berg and Koman Wadhi tradition where symbol like tumpeng communal prayers and eating together serve as what Gert would call cultural texts. They build communities together with passing down identity to the next generation. Now, in syncretism, always kept without question. Not at all. Some reformist Islam group criticize tradition like grave visit or Maulid celebration, calling them bid'ah, regulates innovation that start from poor teaching, but community that have practiced this for generations see them integral to their spiritual and cultural identity, their living experience of faith. This how what syncretism it no a passive compromise. It's an active ongoing negotiation between formal religion and the living wisdom of local communities. And that negotiation is always smooth. To them, there's an deviation. The relationship between region and local culture is sometimes full of tension. A good example is the Hajat Buruan tradition, a ritual where communities collectively pray for safety, often in response to disease outbreak. Offerings are prepared. The whole village gather. From a strict regular standpoint, some scholars will question these prayers should go direct to God without additional symbol. But from the frame participants Hajat Buruan service, a vital social function. It strengthens solidarity, renews collective responsibility, and builds communal resilience. It's not just an act of individualist fights. It's a social event that unites everyone in a single collective action. The arrival of Islam in Indonesia also gave rise to the three schools of thought that still coexist today. Traditional Islam, which accommodates local cultural practice. Modernist Islam, which takes a selective and critical stance. And Puritan Islam, which view local practice as bid'ah to be eliminated. These three don't always agree, but in practice, most communities negative between then preserving local values while maintaining religious identity. So, what do we take away from all of this? Religion and culture are not opposites. They are two systems of meaning that have been in conversation to centuries of influencing, changing, and shaping on one another. The article put is well, this relationship is not hierarchical, it's dialogical, evolving. People actively negotiate, adapt, and give tradition a new meaning to keep them alive and relevant. In a country as diverse as Indonesia that listen more than ever. Religion with understand with openness and empathy. That's divide it connect it become a common thread. One that run through all of us no matter where we come from. Thank you for listening.